Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us, our CLC Education and Training event. My name is Ashley Roseborough, and I will be today's moderator. We are excited to be joined by our honored guest, whom I'll be introducing momentarily. Before we get started, as always, a few housekeeping items. This event is an opportunity for you to ask as many questions to our speaker. Please utilize the chat box, and we will get to them and answer them out loud during the event. Additionally, this is being recorded, so if you by chance want to share this with a peer, rewatch it, or you've missed it, no worries. It will be made available to you at a later time. Without further ado, let's get started. We are honored to have Principal Derrick Estes with us today. UHD alumni, he completed his bachelor's in interdisciplinary studies. A graduate of UT Arlington's Master in Education, Leadership and Policies, he is now working on his doctorates in ethical leadership at the University of St. Thomas. An agent of change and advocate for Title I campuses, Principal Estes has a wealth of experience in the classroom with tenures as a teacher for 3rd and 5th grade, as an instructional specialist, and assistant principal. In addition, Principal Estes has a passion for creating a collaborative school culture through trust, fairness, and equity. In 2019, Principal Estes won the HISD South Area New Principal of the Year. Welcome, Principal Estes.
Thank you, Ashley, for having me.
Thank you.
Good afternoon to all of the people. Good afternoon to all of our virtual guests, and good afternoon to all of our face-to-face. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us. You said that this was your first time back on campus since you graduated.
Yes, I graduated fall 2008. So roughly, 13 years it's been. And I was talking to a couple of the other students and just how much things have changed and the growth, all of the new buildings that UHD has had, that has now. And I was saddened to find out that there's no longer a Smoothie King on campus.
Putting the salt in the wound.
The Smoothie King, you guys, man, y'all missed out on an experience with the Smoothie King behind the theater. So, but it's good. It's good to be back home.
That's awesome. Awesome. We're happy to have you. And we're going to keep advocating for a new Smoothie King because I too love a good Smoothie King.
Yes.
Before we get started, I have 2 icebreaker questions for you.
Okay.
The first one is, if you could be any insect, which one would it be and why?
That's a really good question. So I'm gonna steal that. What insect would I be and why? So I would say a butterfly. Butterfly is an insect, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I would say a butterfly.
Okay.
Just kind of my reasoning is just the process in which it takes for a butterfly to become a butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
There's layers that are peeled back and it's constantly changing, and I feel like that's who I am as a person. The older I get, the more layers I peel back on myself, and I'm able to become this different person, the person who I'm striving to be. Yeah. And which is I'm going to be a beautiful person. I'm gonna spread my wings on the fly.
Awesome, awesome. I love that. I love that. I love that. My next question is, if you could have any profession other than the one you have now, what would you be and why?
I would be a flight attendant.
Huh.
I would be a flight attendant. I always said that after I retired, that was going to be the industry that I would go into because I love flying, I love traveling, I love seeing different places, experiencing different cultures, and I love to eat. So the best way to eat is to go to different places and just try what that city or that state or that area is known for.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you have a particular airline you would like to be a flight attendant?
Either Delta or United, because those are the 2 that I fly the most. So
not a free bag with Southwest type?
When I have to be, but I feel like the planes are a little bit more cleaner than Southwest.
Okay.
On Delta United.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, we look forward to seeing you in the sky.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Share with us your educational background of who you are and what inspired you to journey into a career of education.
Okay, so Education was not my first field of choice. I actually was I wasn't a finance major, but I was in finance. I was in finance for roughly 8 years. I was a credit analyst for Washington Mutual Bank and JP Morgan Chase. I was a GIS analyst for Chevron for a couple of years before I came into education. And actually, when I was at Chevron, I was in Chevron from 2006 to 2008. That's when I came back to school because I was out of school at UHD. And I finished my degree, and I substitute taught.
Okay.
And I was like, man, this is nice. This is nice. And my niece at the time was in high school. Shout out to my niece Hannah. Love you much. I know she's not watching, but shout out to her. And she was in color guard at Decaney High School. And at the time, Decaney had just opened up. And so they just needed all of this help with the band program. My whole entire family were band nerds. So I was in band as well. So we started just helping out. And I was just like, man, I enjoy teaching and helping out kids. And so all of that just came full circle. And I said, you know what? I want to be a teacher. And I had to think back to when I was in elementary school. There's a teacher there's two teachers really that really made the greatest impact on me. That was my first grade teacher. Her name is Miss Nancy Brown. And my third grade teacher, her name was Miss Shine. I don't know why I can think of Gloria Shine. It's her first name. They had the greatest impact on me in my education. And I always said that if I was going to be an educator, I wanted to be like them.
Okay.
Just the compassion that they showed me, the compassion that they showed the other students in the classroom. And just not that I had anything that was going on in my household that, was like a detriment to me, but I always feel like students need to have someone who's advocating for them, and that's in their safety net while they're in this building for 8 hours a day. And those two people were my safety net.
Awesome. You still remember the names of your teachers from way back when. So that's how you know that the impact that they had on your life was monumental.
Absolutely. And kind of the crazy thing, when I accepted my first teacher contract, we celebrated, my family and I celebrated. We went to this Mexican restaurant, Monterey's, on the east side of town. And lo and behold, I promise you, guess who was at the restaurant? Was my first grade teacher.
Wow.
And she remembered who I was because me and her son were in the same grade. So I know the families, but it was crazy that she was there on the day that I signed my first contract.
That's divine. That's divine.
It was.
Do you still teach band? And what instrument?
So yes and no.
Okay.
We have a drum line at my school. It's an award-winning drum line. Shout out to James H. Law Elementary, Sunnyside. That's home team. Home team. So due to COVID, we haven't had much of a drum line because we've been virtual. So we're just now getting our drum line kind of up and running. So I have been assisting the person who comes in and helps out with our drum line. So I guess to an extent, yes.
Awesome.
But I play the drum. I'm a percussionist at heart.
Okay.
Been playing since I was in the 8th grade, played through high school, played through college, marched a little bit at U of H before I transferred to UHD.
Woo woo! Shout out to the transfer student.
Absolutely.
Woo, woo,
Absolutely.
woo.
Absolutely.
That's exciting. So you are now a principal.
Yes.
And what does the day in the office look like for you?
Day in the life of a principal. Me or just in general?
You.
Okay, so first thing I do is I come in the morning and I speak to all.
Okay.
Walk around, hey, how's it going? Need something? You need to watch a class, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then I go into phone calls. Were there any messages that someone left for me the night before, that morning, any urgent emails or anything that I need to respond to? Then it comes the heavy lifting, which is going into teacher classrooms, observing, figuring out what can we do to really, number one, bridge the academic gap that was that's been caused due to COVID. How can I assist teachers in growth? I told my staff at the very beginning of the school year that we're going to find our growth out of our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, of course it's a process, but we all have to grow from where we were. We can't do the same things, even myself as a principal or teachers, that we were doing pre-COVID,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a totally different world. And our students they're used to different things. We have students who this is their first year ever being on a campus.
Wow. Yeah. First graders.
Yeah, the first graders, they've never been on campus before, because March 2020, they would have either been in pre-K if they went to a pre-K,
Mm-hmm.
or they would have only been there half a semester and then left.
Mm-hmm.
So we all have to do something different. So just going in classrooms, I'm just seeing what I could do, analyzing data that tells the tale on, okay, what do we really need to focus on? What's missing from our instruction, or what are our students missing and that's needed in order for them to get over the hump to learn whatever it is that they need to learn. And then it's, you put out the small fires.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the small fires can be big fires, but you still have to put them out nonetheless. Dealing with discipline. Sometimes it's just checking in with students who they're just either going through some things. You might have saw them this morning, that they were having a bad day. Just checking in,
Mm-hmm.
teachers and students. And then the fun part is dismissal. Dismissal is all hands on deck.
Okay.
So dismissal normally takes about 20 to 25 minutes. And that's, getting walkers out of the building, rallying all of the students who ride the bus. We have an after school program. So getting all of our after school program kids together and making sure that they're in one place. And then dismissing our car riders, and we call them blue car pickups. So those are parents who walk to the campus to pick up their students. And then after dismissal, meeting with my admin team, just finding out, hey, how did you do today? Is there something pressing we need to deal with? And then it's time to go home.
Okay. You spoke about, as a principal, you go to the classrooms and observe.
Yes.
Is that something that is normal for all principals?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you dive into that a little bit more? What does that look like, the observation piece?
So there's a rubric that we follow. I'm NHISD, so we have a different rubric that we follow. I know some educators may have heard of T-test. So HISD doesn't follow T-test, but the rubric that we have is centered around T-test. So we use this document to go into the classroom, and we're observing certain criteria. So there's like a planning criteria. So we're looking at lesson plans. What do the lesson plans look like? Are the lesson plans updated? Are the teachers actually doing what they said that they are going to do in their lesson plan? So if you say in math, you're doing multiplication, two-digit by a double-digit by single-digit multiplication, but I go in your classroom and you're doing division, I have questions.
Okay.
Because you planned that you were doing multiplication double-digit by single-digit. So why are you doing division?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it could be an easy conversation. Sometimes it can be a difficult conversation. You say, oh, you know what? We went over division yesterday and, the students really struggled, so I wanted to do it an extra day. That's simple. Why you didn't update your lesson plan? This is something simple.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's something else that we look for. We have a whole instructional rubric. So we're looking at the actual instructional lesson, what the students are doing, what the teachers are doing. Are the students engaged? How much time is it taking you to get through your instruction? What does your actual classroom look like? The classroom environment. Do you have anchor charts up? Do you have an academic word wall up? And all of these things are supposed to aid student learning.
Okay.
So, if we're in reading and we're going over poetry. And, there are some words for poetry that students need to know, like, stanza is one of the things. If you don't have the word stanza up on the board, what are you doing? Because that's an academic word. Students, when they're talking about poetry, they need to be able to say the word stanza and know what stanza means.
Okay.
We're looking at digging a little deeper into what students are doing while you are instructing. Are students playing with rubber bands or pencils? Are they disrupting the classroom, or are they being attentive? Classroom management, we're looking at all of those things, and we're making notations, and we're saying, okay, you can't get through your instructional lesson because you have classroom management issues, because every 5 minutes you're having to stop and address a student who's off task and not following rules. So everything is, is kind of tied together.
Yes.
So yeah, has a question. I'm sorry, I'm
No,
taking
you
over.
can. What's
No,
up?
you're good. Actually, and this is the reason why I have to ask the question now, is because we are on the topic of classroom management. During your time teaching, what were some tips and tricks that you used for classroom management? What were some concepts that you incorporated into the classroom?
Great question.
So I'm going to answer this twofold. The first part of it is when I was a classroom teacher, they called me the student whisperer. I just had a way of just talking to students, getting students to calm down, getting students to open up to me, and that was a way for me to help them out. You have to build a relationship and a rapport with your students, and that starts on day one. When the students respect you, you're really not going to have classroom management. But once again, that starts from day one, and then it's all about repetition. We're going to model what my expectation is, at least the first 30 days of school. And I'm going to remind you when you're not doing what you're supposed to do, but I'm not going to single you out. I'm not going to say, little Johnny, you're not standing in a line with your hands behind your back. That's not what I'm doing. I'm going to say, scholars, we have some people who have forgotten our rules. Can someone remind us, what are our rules? And I don't want you to blurt out. I want you to raise your hand and tell me, what are our rules whenever we line up to transition? Okay, yes, you're right. We're supposed to stand with our hands behind our back, bubbles in our mouth.
Oh, was it?
Got a model.
Yeah.
So we go through that. And singling children out, that's detrimental to just their psyche. You're messing up their whole entire day because they got singled out. And so then the flip part of that is a student started a really nasty rumor about me when I was a teacher. So I had a random hook. I was in a T building. I had a random hook in my classroom from the ceiling. And so I for the longest time, I don't know who started the rumor or why, but it was a rumor that I would hang children up in the classroom by the hook. So you don't want to play in Mr. Estes' class. So they came to my classroom and they're like, oh, we're not trying to get hung by the hook. And I always used to be like, who told y'all that? Because I'm not hanging little children from the hook in the classroom.
Yeah, that was my classroom.
You know?
My classroom.
It was like, I'm not hanging children, you know what I'm saying? But it just became like the running thing. So kids knew, oh, don't play in Mr. Estes' class because you're gonna get hung by the hook. Now, granted, like I said, I didn't hang anyone by the hook. But that was just something, so the kids, they talk. And they were like, oh, you don't blame Mr. Estes' class because you're gonna hang somebody by the hook. Never happened. I had that going for me as well. But it all went back to really just developing a rapport with the students and finding out what they're into, what their interests are, what they're dealing with, and then everything else will follow.
Okay. Leading with care. Thank you.
Leading with care and leading with love, because those two things go hand in hand, especially in elementary school, because, you know, the kids come and some of them like to be baby because they're babied at home, and that's fine. Let me show you the affection that you get at home. Yes, go ahead.
So, on that care and love topic, so you mentioned, and you're the second educator I've heard that has talked about that academic gap coming from out of the pandemic. And you can see that even with college students, like everyone's getting affected with this. So like what should, because I know there's probably a few educators that are about to go and start teaching. So like, what is there, like, what have you had to do to I guess, like, fix that academic gap? Like, have you seen that in the classroom? Like, what does that look like? How have you gone about like fixing that and approaching that gap in terms of like, how, it can be hard for students to go back into the classroom, especially for those first graders that have never been in a classroom. So how have you gone about trying to like manage that?
So it's a day-to-day process. And fixing COVID is not going to be something that's going to happen overnight, probably not even in the next 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The biggest thing is, number one, it goes back to knowing your kids, knowing what they know, knowing what they're comfortable with, because we have students who are still very uncomfortable with being in a classroom with 20 other kids, because for the last year and a half, they've been secluded. They know they're not going around places, where there are a large number of people. So, you have students who still have that effect. You also have teachers who have that effect as well. So we're managing two issues here: making students comfortable and making teachers comfortable. HIZ is one of the districts that have a mask mandate. So a lot of our staff members they feel comfortable enough. But then what happens when the mask mandate is lifted? Because the mask mandate, it's coming. I don't know if you guys saw it yesterday, but Judge Hidalgo changed the level from red to orange. So, kudos, because that means that the COVID cases are going down. And so then that means that we're going to start being a little bit more relaxed with our rules. So then it's going to be how will the teachers react to not wearing a mask? And they'll still be able to wear a mask. Our students, it's all an option, but it won't be something that we can enforce. But just go back to answer your question. It's a struggle every day. I was talking with my administrators earlier today and just saying, hey, we got to come up with a solid plan to address the things that we've seen the first 9 weeks of school. And one of those things is really it's going back to the basics. And I mean, when I say basics, I mean basics. Like 2 + 2 is 4. How do you regroup when subtracting? Going back to decoding words to be able to blend and read words. And we're talking about in 4th and 5th grade.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
They're still on that 2nd, 3rd grade level.
Wow.
That's correct.
Learn me something a bit, because I'm not familiar with Title I campuses. What is a Title I campus, and do you see that there's a difference in the learning gap because of COVID, because of in Title I campuses? So
essentially, a Title I campus just means that you have a high number of students who are considered to be economically disadvantaged.
Okay.
I can't say whether or not there's a difference in the learning gaps from Title I campuses versus others. I would assume not,
Okay,
but I've only ever worked at a Title I campus, so I don't,
okay,
I can't answer the second part to that,
okay, okay.
but I would assume that there is still, she has her hand up.
Yes, we have a question from Melinda Lopez. She's one of the students online. She says, what do you suggest on how to get a better response from students, especially in an elementary setting? Someone like myself is sometimes considered soft-spoken and maybe a little too nice.
Reread the first part.
What do you suggest on how to get a better response from students, especially in an elementary setting?
Okay, so I need a little bit more clarification on response. Like, what type of response is she trying to get? Are you talking about having students answer questions during an instruction? Or is it you're trying to get through to someone, to a child who may be experiencing some social emotional difficulties?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. She said just trying to get their attention.
You have to find something that gets their attention. What are they into?
TikTok.
And you use that to engage your students. I was thankful and blessed enough when I was a teacher. My nieces and nephews were little. What you guys into? At the time, it was like Pokemon and Avatar, The Last Airbender, and which I love my 5th grade students who put me onto that because I love.
It's a great show.
Yeah, all
It's
of
a
it.
great
Yeah.
show.
So just finding out what interests them. This is the age of technology. So TikTok is something that's really huge with all students on all grade levels. So finding a way to do activities using TikTok, it just depends on your kids, really. But that goes back to the rapport and knowing what your students are into. You develop that rapport, everything else is going to come.
Just going back to the Title I school, are they still doing the loan forgiveness for the Title I? Because we got a lot of people in this room who are going to be looking for teaching positions. And that's something for them to keep in mind, especially if they have student loans. Title I school.
You said we was going off the script.
So we're gonna go off. Okay, so we were doing good. We were doing good. Okay, so this is where I'm gonna go off the script a bit. To answer your question, yes, they are still doing the forgiveness for 5 years if you work for a Title I campus. However, comma, I'm trying to put this in a delicate way.
Hit it with his heart.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit it with your heart. Okay, so they say go off script, so I'm going off script. All right, so I understand wanting to get, your student loan balance cut down. Totally get it. But if you go to a Title I campus, be at the Title I campus for a specific reason and not doing it just so that you can get your student loans paid down.
Awesome.
Won't last the 5 years otherwise.
You will not last the 5 years. And that's going to lead me down a conversation that I was like, man, I don't want to have that conversation with this group. But I think this is a universal thing. If you're going into education, make sure you're going to education for the right reason.
Yes.
Yes.
Because yes, absolutely. Make sure you're going into it for the right reasons, because we see it time and time again that we have teachers who are in classrooms that are doing a disservice to students, all because they are there for the money and to have summer off. And you are hurting the students. Let me say it again. You are hurting the students. If your heart and your mind is not into educating the students and making sure it goes beyond just passing a test, that you're leaving these students well-rounded children who are going to go on to be successful individuals and want to continue learning, you have to be in it for the right reasons. Don't go to a Title I campus, get your student loans reduced, and then be out. Don't do it. Find another way.
Well said, well said.
Thank you. She has
That
it.
was actually, thank you for presenting the questions I was actually going to ask. A, B, and C, actually. I was gonna ask, what type of person goes into education? That was the A part. B was, what, nowadays, what is the lifespan of an educator?
Great
And the
question.
C part, what's missing nowadays from schools or from our educators? So it's like a three-part question. which you-
Y'all gonna make me,
He
y'all gonna make me take my
Yes.
jacket off.
He started it up, so.
I hope you have time today, Principal.
I got all the time. I
Okay,
got
let's-
all the
Series.
I got all the time. So part A was,
What type of person goes into education?
What are the qualities?
What is the, yeah, what is that person? Who is that? Who is that type of
Who
person?
do you want in your school?
Yeah.
okay,
There we go. There we go.
okay.
So-
Let me back that up. Off script or real, I'm talking about real.
Okay.
Who is the person who goes into education?
Typically, the people who are coming into education now are people who they're in it for the money. They're in it because, hey, I can start off, I could be 21, 22, 23, making $60,000 a year. I have all of this time off. This will be something that I could do for maybe 1 to 2 years until I can find myself, and then I'm gonna go and do something else. Those are the type of people who are currently getting into education. The type of person who I'm looking for, glad you asked. First and foremost, you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible. You cannot go into education saying, and I tricked you earlier, I'll tell you why. I asked you, what did you want to teach? And you were like, K through 2, possibly ELA, I could do math, I could do science. Wrong answer.
What do you need to be taught?
You are an educator. That means you have to be knowledgeable in every area. Because when you go and you take this EC through 6 generalist, which is like the easiest certification test, unless you're like a math physician or like, a science person. The easiest test to take. The word is generalist. I could put you in 4th grade. I could put you in pre-K. I could put you in art. I could put you in music. I could put you in PE. As long as you're under contract and your certification fits in the area of need that I need, I could put you there. So you have to be willing and say, you know what, Mr. Estes, I'm up for the challenge. I can do it. I'm going to do it. Versus saying, let me go look for another job because I wanted to teach 2nd grade ELA and I'm not teaching 2nd grade ELA. Well, ma'am, you're an educator. Educator teaches all grades. Now, unless you're like 4 through 8 general, you're 4 through 8 generalist, or like maybe a 4 through 8 English or 4 through 8 math, where it's like specific. Okay, so if your certification is specific, you have to go into one of those grades. But don't get stuck in, I only want to teach this certain grade level, because you never know when you're going to get pulled to go to another grade level because of other things that are beyond our control as administrators. Enrollment is low everywhere, in every school district, in every school across the United States. So if I need a second grade or a pre-K, you may not want to be with the little babies. But guess what? Since you under contract, you going to pre-K. And, I'm not going to put it that bluntly to you, but, I'm going to try to smooth it over a bit. But that's essentially, that's what it is. You have to be willing and able to take on any task because you are an educator, not a second grade teacher.
Does having the generalist certification make them more marketable?
Absolutely, because you can teach anything.
So for people who are listening, there's all kinds of certification tests you
Mhm.
can. So why narrow it down to 4 through 8 math or 4 through 8 ELA when you can take the generalist? Because as a principal, I can only imagine you want as many of those in the building as possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because if something comes up, I'm able to move you.
That's a great.
You might start, for instance, when I started, I was like, I want to teach 5th grade because I was a teacher assistant at the school that I was hired in, and I worked with 5th grade. I was like, I want to teach 5th grade. I want to teach 5th grade. When I got hired, she's like, oh yeah, I'll put you in 5th grade. I wound up in 3rd grade. I wasn't mad. I was like, I'm just happy to have a certification,
Yeah. A job.
Hello.
A job.
Hello. And I made the best of it.
Mhm.
And then the principal was like, man, your scores, the way that the kids respond to you, we need you in 5th grade. You see, and so what I winded up getting. It was just delayed, but I proved myself. I did what I had to do because I was an educator.
Yeah.
I was there to teach children, not a specific grade level child. I'm here to teach children. So what was the second part?
Lifespan of the teacher.
2 years.
nowadays, and wow.
2 years.
Wow.
And it's getting worse. COVID.
Yeah.
COVID. Everybody's ready to walk away if they haven't already. For example, I have a special education teacher position that's been open since May of last year.
For those who are with us, who are about to graduate and are looking.
It's opening.
Opening law. Yeah. But that's just one of those areas. Special education there's a shortage. Bilingual, there's a shortage. So if you're bilingual, the best thing that you can do is get your bilingual certification. The best thing you could do is get a bilingual certification.
Now, is there a trilingual certification? So for English, Spanish, and French?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm quite sure there's a French certification.
Okay.
I would assume it would be like an EC through 12. Don't know. But
That's my homework.
That's your homework.
That's my homework.
Mhm. Yes.
So my question is, because as a senior, they're telling us, okay, you do this and you're getting this certification, but like, can we be moved into stuff that isn't our certification? So like, let's say, I have a regular teacher certification, but there are sped positions open, and that was my goal anyway. No? Okay. So you can't.
You can only teach within your certification.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So how long did it take for you to want to go to the administration side of education?
I didn't. I was pushed and dragged into it.
So what would you tell someone who is already thinking about that prior to starting?
Don't think about it.
Why?
There we go.
Don't think about it. You're putting the cart before the horse. You don't, because you don't know if you're even gonna stay in education. You don't know if you're even gonna love it. Because in order to do this work, you have to love it.
to piggyback on David's question, because we had a conversation yesterday about David wanting to pursue an MED. Can you talk to us about your MED journey and then how that led to you pursuing your doctorates?
So in order for you to get your master's in education, I believe you have to be teaching at least 2 years before a program will even let you get it. I graduated from UHD in 2008. I started my master's in 2014. And I did it because my principal at the time, she was like, so in education, everybody calls each other by their last name. They're never like Bob, Bill, Derrick. It's always Estes, Smith, you know. So she was like, Estes, I can see you as an administrator. And I was like, oh, well, that's good, because I don't see myself. But she was like, you need to go back and get your master's. And I was like, no, I'm done with school. And she was like, you need to go back and get your master's because you never know what opportunity is going to come available and you're going to need it. I was like, makes sense. So when you work in education, you work at a school building, there's, you're always getting emails and flyers and people are coming up and giving you free pizza and cookie and Subway sandwiches, trying to get you to join their master's program or their doctoral program. So I started off at Lamar, actually. They came and they had some really good sandwiches. And so I was like, let me sign up. They were like, you could take the first 3 classes before you have to take your, what is it called? Not the GMAT.
GRE?
GRE, there you go. Thank you for that. It's like, you can take 9 hours before you have to take the GRE and et cetera, et cetera. I was like, all right, cool. So I did my 9 hours and then I was like, no, I don't like Lamar. And so then somebody else came, with some Supreme pizzas and, some soft cookies. And I was like, okay, let me sign up. And I went to University of Texas at Arlington and all of it was online. And I fell in love with the program. They have awesome professors. At the time, the master's program was very reasonable. It was like $8,000.
What? That sounds like a lot.
What?
For all 2 years? Both? Oh, wait, never mind.
That's for the entire
okay. That's
entire
a bargain.
program. Entire program. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm going.
And they got the frame.
And they had the Supreme pizzas. Yeah. So I went back to school. And I was like, let me just get this master's just because I don't know what the future's going to hold for me. So it took me, it's an 18-month program, which most master's programs are for education. And I completed it. And I had gotten out of the classroom by then. I was an instructional specialist. Then I moved to another campus. I got a promotion. And so then that principal was like, you need to go ahead and get your principal certification so that you can become a principal. And I was like, I don't want to be no principal. I'm good. But she's like, once again, she pulled the same card. She's like, you don't know what opportunity is gonna be out there for you. And you could be blocking your blessing by not getting the certification.
I like the card she's doing.
Oh yeah. So I went, took me a couple tries, passed my principal certification. I was still like, I'm happy being an assistant principal because by then I was an instructional specialist for 1 year. Then the next year she promoted me to principal after I passed my principal certification. And I was like, I'm good. I want to be an assistant principal and, I'll be happy. That wasn't what the cards had for me. And my boss was like, I want you to, be part of this little principal screen. I want you to start, getting to practice to start interviewing so that you can, eventually interview for your own school. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I was just humbled. So I went to they call it a pre-screener. I went to the pre-screener They were just asking me questions about instruction. And I know instruction, so it wasn't really a big deal, you know? So I answered the questions, I got up and I left. Phone rang, not even 5 minutes after I walked out of the room. My boss was like, Estes. I was like, what, Dr. Garcia? Like, what's going on? It's like, you're the dark horse. You're the dark horse. They're going to give you a principal. They're going to give you a school. I was like, man, be quiet. They're not about to I'm like, I'm just practicing. You know, I was just practicing. It wasn't supposed to be a real thing. 3 days later, I was being introduced at same-sex law. And so none of that would have came to fruition had someone not have pushed me and just kept saying, you never know until you go and get XYZ. So keep it in your mind. I think it's excellent that you want to go on and eventually get your master's and you want to go into administration. But before you think about and wanting to become an administrator, you need to find out if education is what you love to do. And you need to be prepared enough to talk about wanting to lead a campus. So that means knowing more than just that one little area that you may be teaching. Like, what do you want to teach? Okay, so you need to know about math and science and social studies and PE. You need to know about STAR or whatever it's going to be called by the time 10 years is up, because ELA is just not going to be your focus at that campus. You're going to have to know a little bit of everything.
What exactly is an instructional specialist?
Good question. Great question.
So an instructional specialist is basically someone who is out of their classroom. For me, I was third through fifth grade ELA. I handled anything that has to do with ELA in third through fifth grade. That's planning and coaching with teachers, helping them with lesson plans, going and doing model lessons on particular TEKs or objectives that they may be struggling on, doing intervention with students, you name it, I've done it. Even as a principal now, I still do intervention with students. I pull small group.
Awesome.
You have to, because it's all hands on deck.
We have a few questions from our online audience that
What's up? I'm sorry, online people. It's the face-to-face crowd. Like, they're taking up all my time, but my apologies.
That's okay. So Lamithia Clark, she wants to know, how does your principal staff or your administrative team interact with the special education department?
So one of my administrators is actually over special ed. So we're constantly interacting with everybody. Is very, 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 very delicate. And it's the easiest way for you to get caught up with your students not being, with teachers not following IEPs, missing ARDs, or having students not going through the ARD process. All of those things can easily get you into some big trouble. So we definitely make sure that we try to stay on top of. Oh, hey, lights are back on. We try to make sure that we stay on top of our special education and just helping out in any way, because we actually have really large special education classes.
And I have another one from Yancy Chose. She said, I will be graduating with a supplemental in bilingual ed. By getting a certification in bilingual ed means I need to get a master's degree or add more classes to my actual degree.
No. So in order to be bilingual certified, no, you just need to take the bilingual certification after you complete your degree program. And just research, because like I said, the bilingual teachers who are bilingual certified, that's the key. being bilingual certified, there is money to be made. There's money to be made because there's a whole stipend that bilingual certified teachers get. And like for HISD, I think it's maybe $4,000, but there are some districts that pay more. Like I know Sheldon ISD pays $6,000 for their bilingual certified teachers. So do your research. And that's on top of your regular salary. And most school districts, like Sheldon ISD, they start off at $60,000. So if you're a bilingual certified teacher and you're brand new, you walking out the door with $66,000. And that's not including doing tutorials or anything after school.
And some subjects are, rebased, so you get stipends.
And you get stipends. Absolutely. So, so now you see the appeal for people to want to go and get into education right off the bat and not really be serious about education. $66,000 and I'm 23 years old. Whew. And summer's off, and a week for Thanksgiving, 2 weeks for Christmas, and a week for spring break.
Every holiday.
And every holiday imaginable.
So we were talking about bilingual, right? So I want this to come off bad, but like the money between the difference between ESL and bilingual. That's what I'm caring about, but like, is there such a huge difference? Like
being ESL certified versus being bilingual certified? Yes. Because yeah, it's a huge difference because some districts may give you a small stipend for being ESL certified, and being ESL certified is definitely very helpful, even if you don't have to be of a Spanish descent in order to get ESL certified. Anybody can get an ESL certification. And it is definitely good to have one, to have with you, especially if you're servicing students who are in ESL or ELL students. But they're not going to pay you they're not paying you $6,000.
Would there be, is there bilingual in I never encountered that. I got out of the ESL program in 3rd grade, and since then it's been like.
I don't believe they have it in high school. I believe it's only in elementary school, and then after 5th grade, you transition to ESL transitional classes.
Work classrooms where there were people I want to call them, freshly welcome, but they were fresh. Well, they were fresh.
I'm not laughing at that, but that's something good for you to research. I don't have an answer for that, but I don't believe that there are bilingual classes in high school. I think she has some.
So we have 2 questions online. Astro's in the back. Brittany, Mama Michelle. I saw another hand in the mix in Adrielle. Okay, that's the order of operation. Here we go.
Order of operation, that's the education word. I
like
that.
She wants to know how important is it to develop a network of support while you are working towards completion of your degree as compared to waiting until you're finished?
Ooh, great question. That's why ATA exists, but go for it, Dr. Estes.
So first and foremost, greetings, future Dr. David Jones. That's actually my best friend that's on the line. So thank you for shouting out. It's extremely important to have a very supportive group of people around you. And Mr. Jones is definitely one of the huge pieces of just my emotional support outside of school, in school, and just everything in between. Especially COVID impacted everyone in many different ways. And we're all still carrying the weight of COVID and its effects. So number one, and this is something that I tell my staff all of the time, don't be afraid to take off from work. Everybody needs a self-care day. Don't be afraid to take a self-care day. Don't be afraid to call your mom or your dad or your best friend during your lunch break, or you ask for some time out to step out of the classroom and to say, you know what, I just need to vent to somebody real quick. Because it's needed. That's human. And I know that one of the things that, they always say that teachers are superheroes. Yeah, we are superheroes, but we're also human. And we have to keep that in mind. You have to have people who you can cry to, that you can scream and yell. People that is not afraid to take shots with you at the bar. I'm being honest. Look, I need to go to Papacitos. I need a drink.
Yeah.
You have to have that, because you guys have it now as students. You get frustrated with your professors and the amount of work that you have to do, or the pressures of deadlines, all of those things, and you have people who you confide in and you talk to. The number one people that you confide in is yourself. So like, as an educator, I have principals in my district, outside of my district, across the United States. I'm like, man, this is what's going on. Blah, 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 blah. I just throw everything up. And they're like, man, I feel you, because blah, 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 blah. And we're just throwing up to each other. And I'm just like, I'm glad to hear that somebody else is going through the same mess that I'm going through.
Struggle with somebody else.
Yeah. But definitely don't feel like you have to have the weight of the world on you. Talk to people often. Go to therapy.
Yes.
I am a huge advocate of going to therapy. But yeah, have a support system.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we got a quick shout out, and I have another question. So this is from Brenda Hicks. It says, shout out to the future Dr. Estes from members of the USTED.
Hey, my cohort, what's going on?
Yours proud, see you Saturday.
Thank you so much.
And okay, so Eric Levels, he wants to know, how do you find balance in your personal, professional, social, emotional life?
Greetings, Brother Levels. Good to see you. Brother Levels actually just crossed my fraternity over the weekend. So shout out to the Ace at the pace. The question is balance between work and life. I don't have a life.
That's honest. That's
No,
honest.
it's true.
That's honest.
I don't have a life. I don't. I work. When I leave work, I go home. I'm not married, don't have any kids. But I have 3 younger siblings, 15, 13, and 12. One's in high school, 2 are in middle school. So you might as well say I got kids. So I run behind them, dealing with all the stuff that they have to deal with. That leaves me exhausted. And then after that, I'm working on my doctorate degree. So of course, doing homework, doing research, writing. So yeah, I don't really have a life. I'm never, even if I wasn't doing all these things, I'm not the type of person to just be like out in the streets or whatever. I'm a homebody anyway. But I do find the time to travel. That is something I will make time for. I actually just got back from London about 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
And planning my next trip. So, but for those people who are maybe struggling with the work-life balance, you have to remember that you have to take time for yourself, because you are no good to anyone else if you're so busy pouring yourself into work, pouring yourself into whatever education or whatever activity or something that, you know, is taking up a lot of your time, you have to find time for yourself to just, you know, whether it's like you like to read, you like to do puzzles, I love to sleep. So I normally sleep when I don't have anything to do. Yeah, but you have to just make sure that you're taking the time for yourself, and it gives you an opportunity to recharge and regroup so that you can continue pouring into other people and pouring into your work and education and et cetera.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for those questions in the audience. On our online viewers, shout out to the showing up today. We're happy to have you. Y'all are real. Y'all are the realest. Hope that you guys come back for the next ones that we have.
Absolutely.
We're going to transition to Astros in the back.
My question is more of I guess as a parent. How you see it every day with the young kids that you deal with, right? You said some of them were affected by COVID and it's the first time in classroom. My daughter's 2, you know, thinking ahead, but like, what can I do as a parent and me parents who are raising kids in this day and age to better prepare them for, you know, making that transition into the classroom? How can we help them?
That's a great question. And I truly, I'm thankful that you asked that question.
Yeah.
Where do I start? I think the very first thing is all about talking to them about being comfortable in a setting where there are going to be other kids in the classroom who may not look like them, may not talk like them, may not act like them. I think that's the biggest thing, because we have students who, once again, they've never been in a school setting. We have students who come to us who are not identified as special ed. And they come with, some can come with very severe behavior. And so the first couple of weeks, we're sorting through all of these things, right? So you may have a kid that's hitting your kid or scratching your kid. You may have a kid that's taking their lunch. Those are all possible things that are going to happen. You need to teach them what to do when those things happen and not to overreact. And the biggest thing that we must stop telling our kids is that if somebody put their hands on you, that you need to put their hands on them. I know that may be something tough to hear, but we are creating a culture of violence. That's what we're creating. Because I can step on Ashley's shoe and Ashley's gonna be ready to fight me because I stepped on her shoe. Instead of finding out, hey, did you mean to step on my shoe? Was it an accident? You know, because it could be a plethora of things that happen as to why she stepped on my shoe. She could have got pushed. Someone could have pushed me and I accidentally stepped on her shoe, but we didn't stop to really rationalize and find out what's going on. But the only thing these kids know is if you touch me, I'm gonna touch you. The other thing is making sure that you continue to have a relationship with your daughter to where she opens up and tells you everything. Because there are a lot of things that are happening to kids at home, but because of the relationship that they have, their family dynamics, they don't tell nobody. And so a lot of things go unnoticed, unsaid, unspoken. And then, we don't find out about it until something major happens. So continue to just have that open dialogue that, hey, something happens, something's going on, someone's talking to you, or saying things that are inappropriate. people are touching you inappropriately, all of those things should be red flags, and you should tell someone immediately. The other thing that I would say is be patient. You have to practice patience because it's going to be a new environment. They're going to cry. They would cry some more, and they could cry at school. But you just have to be strong and just keep them in the frame of mind that just like you get up and you go to work and you go to school, they have to do the same thing too. It's a job. They're getting paid. They're getting paid by knowledge. And that knowledge is going to fuel them to go into a career to where they'll be successful and be able to support themselves and their family in the future. But that's a great question.
Thank
And
you.
also, and this is along the same lines, kind of joking, but not really joking. If you send your child to school with a lunch kit, make sure that there are things inside the lunch kit that your kid can open easily. So like practice those behaviors, because I see it all the time especially with pre-K. Parents send them to school with a Capri Sun or like the little juices that you have to twist and turn, a little small can of Pringles where they have to take the lid off and then take the paper off, or like the Lunchables that they have to. That's a lot for a little 3-year-old or a 4-year-old. It's a lot, and they get frustration. They get very frustrated when they can't do it. So just keeping that in mind. You're welcome.
And thank you for being here. Thank you. I don't know if we've met before, but I really do appreciate you being here and asking that question and just wanting to learn as a parent who's sending their child to school. So thank you so much for that.
I'll be crying too.
Listen, so of course this year with COVID, there were different protocols. So the parents couldn't come inside the buildings with the kids, especially on the first day of school. So it was just, everyone was just standing outside the building crying. And we get it, box of tissues, we're rubbing on, we're rubbing your back. So they're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna take pictures, see that your child, yes, they're crying and screaming and falling out on the floor, but it's just, it's routine. And as they get more comfortable with the routine, the easier things will be. So like now, kids aren't crying when they get dropped off. They're coming in, they're like, and they just walk to class themselves. Because they want to be independent. Like they don't want somebody walking them to class. They don't want anybody to walk with their tray at lunch. They want to be able to do everything themselves. They want to be independent. And you should allow that. Allow them to be independent.
Awesome. Brittany.
So we were talking about stuff going on with kids, but there's also a lot going on with teachers.
Absolutely.
And teachers not being backed up when things happen to them in their classrooms, especially from the parents. So what do you do in that situation, especially with the environment that we have going on right now? Just like, as a teacher of color, to a principal of color, like what do you do in that situation when they try us? Because it happens.
You're gonna get tried every day.
Holy Spirit.
Exactly. You have to remember, number one, you have to maintain your professionalism at all times, because that is something that you can be rated on. So you have to make sure that you maintain your professionalism. I tell my entire staff that we are in the customer service business. So you have to de-escalate. All right. Now, am I going to sit there and let you call me all out my name? No. And I don't expect you to. Because at some point you have to say, I understand that, you're frustrated with whatever's going on, but the manner in which you're talking to me is disrespectful. And I think that we need to wait until, there's a cool head for us to pick this conversation up, and then, we can go forward. Sometimes that work, sometimes it don't work. A lot of times. So you really just have to just let them get it all out of their system. And once again, you're in the customer service business. What's the root of this issue? What can I do to de-escalate this situation? That's it. But I have a whole story I could tell you of something that just recently happened. They're gonna try.
Because it's like, I've had it happen, so it's just like, when it happens, like, what do I do in that situation? Especially when stuff gets to a certain point and people are like coming after you. Like,
so at that point, no, you should remove yourself from the situation. Especially if you feel like you're about to be assaulted. You definitely need to let an administrator know, grab the nearest adult or go somewhere. I was recently assaulted at work about a month ago. But yes, like by a parent, everything. It was a mess. So I understand. And it was over something very small, very small. But you have to be able to just dig your heels in the sand and say, okay, I hear all of that. What can we do to resolve this problem? But if you are in danger of your life, you feel like you're in danger of your life, sis, you better move on. You better move away. Because you don't want.
You
got it.
Look, you put your hands on me, I don't care what my title is. You put your hands on me, we gonna have a problem. Now, it just so happens that dude put his hands on me and knocked me out, so I couldn't get up.
Wow.
He sucker punched me in the jaw. It was a soft hit. It really was.
And you circle back to
It
tell the
was
story.
right, because it was a soft hit, but behind me was a brick wall, and I fell and I hit my head on the brick wall.
Wow.
So it wasn't necessarily his hit. It was I hit my head on the brick wall. Because the hit was soft. Because the hit was soft. Let's be clear. The hit was soft. It was the brick wall. But nah, other than that, like if I would have stayed conscious, I'd have lost my job. I'd have lost my job. Because at that moment, you're not dealing with Principal Estes. You dealing with D from the streets.
So do you get to press charges?
Oh, I absolutely press charges on him.
Isn't that like assault of a police officer?
Public servant.
Wow.
Make that money with that lawsuit.
I'm still.
So I can donate it back to UHD. So I can donate it back to UHD.
Hey, Travis. Take that trip. That London trip came right on time.
Absolutely.
Came right on time.
Absolutely. But no, no. Like I said, if I'd have stayed conscious, number one, I'd have been on the news because I would have made sure there would have been newsworthy.
And that's being and that's just keeping it a buzz.
Yeah, we like if you push me or something like that, okay, cool. I ain't worried about that. You talking about you bust me in my jaw and I have to, luckily I didn't have a concussion, but I had to pay, to go to the ambulance, to go to the hospital, all this. It was an inconvenience. Oh yeah.
Workers' compensation.
Wait. But aren't you the principal? Aren't you the one that signs the?
I ain't answering that. Man, I ain't paying for nothing. No. But no, don't let them people put their hands on you. They can talk to you crazy.
Adria, hold on.
Oh yeah.
Hold on, David.
You had
Adria,
an order. Yeah, we had an order.
Your question?
So we're just transitioning, I guess, into something else. So this is more on the technical aspect, and I'm interested in this. So you're in charge of the school, the educators and whatnot. how did your educators apply the revised version of Bloom's taxonomy onto virtual learning, and how will that translate when they go back into the physical classroom?
You want the truth or you want a
The
lie?
truth, yes, I mean, no filter.
Oh, it was impossible to do Bloom's taxonomy.
Yeah, I figured, I mean, it's not possible, not everyone has the resources at hand.
You have to understand, when students was on virtual, they was at home chilling. That's if they were even logging on. So, no, it was really hard on teachers and students. So it was impossible. So once again, for some of these kids that are just now coming to campus, just that whole rigor of Bloom's taxonomy is new. Because remember, some of them are stuck in 2 grade levels. So really your 5th graders are on 3rd grade level.
Right.
And that's assuming that they were on grade level 2 years ago.
Yes.
And they weren't.
Wow.
Mhm. So it's all new. We're literally starting at the bottom.
So we're gonna need to go to like 3rd edition of taxonomy right there, because it's already been revised. So we need to now find something else that will catch people up due to this inconvenience.
That sounds good in theory.
In theory, always in theory, always
Yeah.
in theory.
That sounds
It's
good
the
in theory.
execution that's always a problem, absolutely.
That sounds good in theory, but that's not going to be something that they're going to do, because they're going to say with intervention, effective small groups, effective first instruction. If you're talking about 4th and 5th graders, they have this, what is it called? It's essentially, they have this 30 hours of accelerated learning if they're in 4th and 5th grade, well, 4th and 5th grade and beyond, that they have to do if they did not pass the STAR test in the spring. So that's an additional 30 hours that has to be completed before they take the STAR test in the spring, on top of small group time. If you're a tier 3, you're required to have 90 minutes of intervention per week. It's on top of all of that, and you can't pull them out during their content block or during enrichment. So they're going to say all of that is enough time for you to bring the student to where they need to be, so there will be no need for you to revise Bloom's taxonomy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That was a good question.
Marcus?
Yes, I want to transition back to Brittany's realm of question, like on the side of like teachers and like what they do in certain situations. I'm trying to teach high school English, and I am worried about being such a young teacher with such small stature, being in high school with students being too familiar with you. Because when I was in high school, we had a lot of teachers that had just come out of college,
Right.
and they set boundaries. They have the rules. They're like, don't come to my desk, don't talk to me alone, bring a friend, all that good stuff. But they were still like, talked about so much, even though they did absolutely nothing wrong. And so I'm trying to like dodge all that kind of stuff, because high schoolers talk. They all talk, but high schoolers talk. So yeah, I'm trying to, yeah.
I would, so God bless you for going to high school. But I think a lot of those same things, you have to keep those things in place. Even like for me on an elementary level, I'll talk to students, but I'm gonna talk to you with my door.
Yep.
I'm not gonna ever close the door. And where my office is, it's in earshot from the front office, so nothing can ever be misconstrued. But you're gonna have to go and you have to set the tone and let them know, you ain't for play. This ain't what it is. We're not friends. We're not cool. I might look young, but you're gonna respect me as a teacher. Like, you have to do that from day one. There can never be a point where you can stray from that, because you do look very young. You do look like you could still be in high school with them. So, so they're gonna try you.
Yeah.
They're gonna try to see how cool you're gonna get with them. But in your respect, it was like, nah.
Yeah, I had an English teacher. She was, remember Mrs. Paul, and she was literally my height.
Not name drop.
Just so many people, like, she cried so many times because people just kept trying her, and she told me when I was like telling her I wanted to be a teacher, she was like, one thing I do is to make sure that everybody stays in their seat as much as possible, to make sure that they're not like, standing over you and just walking around and that kind of thing. So I'm trying to just pick up little tidbits to help with that kind of thing as I go.
Yeah, you gotta set the tone on the first day.
Yeah,
Set the tone.
just gonna wait down, okay.
All right, so officially, we have 8 more minutes.
Really?
Yes, however, Principal Estes, if you have time to be with us more longer,
I'm off the
audience, you're more
clock,
than
so.
welcome to stay as well. We can continue this, and I know that there's many hands still up,
Yeah.
have questions, so I don't want to, because of time, I don't want to cut this short when we're having such amazing dialogue. So everybody's good to keep going?
Yes.
Online viewers, y'all good to keep this rolling? You're more than welcome to leave when you're ready to. The feedback survey will be coming to you at 2:30 officially. So please fill out that survey, because I want to know what you gained from this and how we can improve our programming. But other than that, let's just keep this rolling.
Can I say something too?
Go for it, go for it.
Anyone who may not be staying on, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming and logging on. If I'll give them my email address. Feel free to email me if you have any questions, any concerns, any thoughts. If you want to come and shadow and just kind of see what it's like to, a day in the life of, an elementary school principal, middle school principal, high school, a teacher, whomever. I have connections all throughout all of the various grades and campuses. So just let me know. I'm in the business of helping people and helping others. So if you're leaving, can you type into the chat? So my email address is DESTES1@HoustonISD.org. And that goes the same for y'all. I'll make sure that y'all have my email address. Feel free, if you're looking for a job in the future. I was telling Brittany, right? Selling Brittany, I have positions open on my campus. Academic tutors, I have a TA position. If there's something in HIC that you see that you want to apply for, I know principals, I can get you connected. I'm all in the business of helping others. So.
What was that email?
DESTES1@HoustonISD.org. No problem.
Online viewers, Mr. Jones, and I believe that was, who else? Ms. Hicks, thank y'all so much for joining us. I saw y'all comments right when it was coming up in the chat. Thank y'all for being with us today. It's always a joy for me to see people who are not a part of the ATA program come into this space, whether that be in person or online. It lets me know that there is a reach for what I do in the ATA program. So it makes me feel good. And thank y'all for being with us today. We hope to see y'all soon.
Thank you, cohort 5. I saw Mark. I saw Brenda. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys on Saturday. Mark, I owe you a response to your text message. I actually just saw.
Thank you, Derrick.
Apologies.
See, great job.
Man, so this week has been crazy.
Okay.
This week has been crazy.
Before y'all go, Brittany, can we get them to sign in? Because I want to get track of everybody who's been here. The sign-ins in Walden's.
I'll be right back.
Yes.
Okay, I'm here.
All righty.
So other than bilingual certifications, ESL certifications, are there any certifications that could make us stand out as teachers besides generalization also? Or does it matter where the certifications come from? Like, is there any, you're more apt to pick someone who has a certification from this organization versus this other one?
No. I will say that I am more partial to hire teachers who actually majored in education. Although I was not someone who majored in education. But you know, when you alternative certification programs are, I mean, they're good. It's just sometimes I question the intent behind people who go through alternative certification programs who aren't education majors. They make me very weary.
It's also the fact that, I mean, you can only learn so much in so little time, because alternative certifications, it's much less time and it's not humanly possible to learn everything.
Yeah,
It's
because
so condensed compared to 4 years.
Because really the only thing you have to do is take like these modules online and then complete the field service hours. And that's really it.
Well, the only reason why I asked personally is because I'm not an education major, but I am seriously considering going into teaching. And at this point, I'm so far into the degree that it doesn't make sense for me to change and
Absolutely.
set myself back.
Absolutely.
And that's why I asked that.
I think that you'll find employment regardless, just because there's just a teacher shortage. So when do you graduate?
Not this year, next year.
Oh, okay. There's still gonna be a teacher shortage.
Yeah.
So there's still be a teacher shortage. That, like I said, it's just that's just my preference.
Right.
I'm not going to say that I have not hired people who went through ACP programs, but just, you know, I feel like people who have a education background, the degree, they're more serious and more likely to stay in education longer. And I'm looking for the longevity. I don't need you for 2 years.
Definitely.
I need you to be here 7, 8, 9 years.
Okay, so 2 questions. One
Okay.
coming on Lucia Clark. She said, I've been in the school district for almost 15 years. I subbed for a while. Would you recommend new teachers or people considering educational bills to become a substitute teacher before making the leap of becoming a teacher?
That's a really good question. I think that you definitely get a good perspective when you are a substitute teacher, because you can be placed anywhere. So you kind of get a feel of what you like and what you don't like. But on the flip side, depending on what the teacher has left for you, it really kind of puts you at a disadvantage, because the students are going to cut up. So that's going to give you a less than favorable remembrance of that classroom or that grade level. And, you know, that, I mean, it deters you. So, but you get real life experience of dealing with like classroom management and, you know, just the processes of how schools are.
That's why I asked.
It's 50-50. I can say that I don't believe I've ever hired anybody who was a substitute teacher before.
Coming from a substitute teacher background as well. Wow.
Is it because they never applied, or is it they loud? I'm sorry. Is it because they never applied? Is that why you never?
I can't say whether or not it was because they never applied. I don't know. It's just either the teachers that I've hired over the last 4 years have either been brand new teachers who you know, just graduated from a, you know, educational program, or they are transferring from another district or within HISD. But I'm not saying that I would be opposed to hiring someone who's a substitute teacher.
Ms. Clark, did you get that?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so my question is coming from a social work standpoint.
Okay.
There's a new term called restorative justice in the classrooms, like if they cut up, so you can cut down on that prisoner pipeline stigma. How do you guys incorporate that into your classroom? Have you started that yet?
So
'Cause I know it's new.
So we have used restorative circles before on my campus. We have. We no longer use restorative circles. We have our own, we have a social emotional curriculum that we use that's offered through our district. And we have what's called a wraparound specialist on our campus. So a wraparound specialist is someone they are specifically on campus and they're dealing with social emotional support for students and families. They are providing families with resources to help them both educationally and at home. So they take a lot of the relief off of the counselors, or the counselor that I have doing the social emotional work.
So it's kind of the same subject or the same tactics, but it's done in you guys' own format.
Correct. And we do certain pieces of the restorative justice circles. We don't do the whole group circle and where you talk and you draw out your feelings and all that kind of stuff. But we do have a safe space in every classroom.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Miss Michelle, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but David has had their hand up for a while. So David.
Going back to the thing about alternative certification, now is that something that you only, is that for you as a elementary school principal? Or like, I don't know how to word the question. Is that something that you only specify for general?
No.
Wouldn't it be different if you're majoring in English and trying to teach English?
So that's just a personal preference of mine. I'm not saying that that's what all principals, like that's their viewpoint. That's just my viewpoint. I have hired people who've gone through alternative certification programs. I went through alternative certification program. I went through A+ Texas Teachers. But whether you go through an ACP program or whether or not you're an education major, like I said, you're gonna find a job. You're gonna find a job because we're hurting for teachers. When do you graduate?
Fall 2022.
I like that.
Miss Michelle?
My question is, one thing what Brittany was asking about the teachers and their backup. My to-be daughter-in-law is a teacher, not in the Title I school, she's in the affluent Port Settlement out there. She came from Beaumont in an AP school out there. She's an assistant principal, but she's moved here now, and she's a teacher out there in the middle school. AP 7th grade math. And she's finding out it's quite different here in this area than Beaumont. Right here. So what we did was we went and we anointed the chairs. We couldn't anoint each child that was coming through, but we could anoint the chairs.
Amen.
Okay,
Amen.
so we were trying to get some help. Trying to get some help, because we couldn't do anything with the parents, but we could work on the sitting in the chairs.
I understand.
Like you said, we needed some help coming through those classes. But my question was, what's missing from the schools? What is missing? Is it I know what I think is missing from when I came through school and even my older son came from school.
What you think is missing?
I know it's missing.
I'm gonna answer your question from my perspective. What is missing? Number one, I would say teachers, highly effective teachers, and teachers who are truly wanting to be in the work. think that's the first thing that's missing. I think the second thing that is missing is compassion and empathy. Because a lot of times, like I see it with my staff all the time, like you're getting mad at a student for coming in late, but they don't have a driver's license or a car. So why are you getting on to little Johnny that's coming in? Yeah, he's coming in late. There's no, that's not something that you need to address. Because once again, it goes back to signaling that kid out. You know he coming in late. Why is little Johnny coming in late? What are you doing about that? That goes back to that compassion and that empathy. I always use little Johnny, so I'm gonna use little Susie. Little Susie didn't bring her homework in. And you yelling at her because you about to give her a 0 because she didn't do her homework. Why she didn't do her homework? Little Susie could have little brothers and sisters at home that she's taking care of by herself because mama or granny, whoever they're staying with, is at work. They might not have no power at home. Little Susie may not even understand the work. What are you gonna do about it? I think the other thing that's missing from schools and just education is that's an excellent way to put it. Parental involvement. And when I say parental involvement, I mean other than coming to literacy night and math night, or coming to drop off McDonald's to your kids. That's not parental involvement. Or only calling the school because your child brings on the report card and they got an F on it. That's not parental involvement. That's part of parental involvement, but it's not all of it. And really, okay, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Parenting. That's I'm just gonna say it. It's parenting. Teachers are not parents, and we're being used and substituted as parents and trying to instill things into children that your parents should be instilling into you. And that's probably the biggest issue, because how we see things and how some parents see things and view things and may handle things are different. And so then the child becomes conflicted. Because you are a product of your environment. Your behaviors that you first exhibit are from the environment that's around you. And so we're having to attempt to break a lot of bad behaviors, and it's exhausting on educators. That's why they're leaving.
Thank you.
Ursula?
Okay, so I was one of those parents that volunteered all the time, doing bulletin boards, everything, copy and paper.
We love you.
I was there.
We love you.
Thank God I don't have to do it no more. He's in college. But my question is, because I would always try to I didn't see it. So I was always trying to encourage the young ladies, my age, my skin, to come and help because their children needed the help. They needed to see them. What would you advise would be a good way to get them? I wasn't successful. What
You would like to know also.
If I had the answer, it's a little hard now with COVID because we have protocols where we can't have visitors on campus like that. Parenting and parental involvement. I mean, you have to want it in you to do that and be that for your children. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't feel the same way.
So do you feel that social work needs to play a bigger role in that, like when they refer to the wraparound specialist? The social workers need to come in more and enforce, I don't know, maybe create some type of program that are helpful, because they may not know even how to help. They might not even understand the subjects the children are in.
And
Thank you so much.
thank you so much. That is a very fair assessment. I don't know. That's just.
There's no money for it. No budget.
I'm not even gonna go that far as to go into budget.
There's no policy.
Not even gonna say that either. It's just how much further do we have to go down this hole with trying to help parents be parents? That's not our job. That's not our function.
Because that's the teacher's perspective. On a social work perspective, we cannot give up on people.
Absolutely.
We have to like go
Absolutely.
in and go in and go in.
Absolutely. And then the other thing is you have to want the help.
Yes.
And you have to want to do better and be better for yourself and for your children. And we have a community that's just content.
You mentioned the teacher shortage and teacher shortage for youth. Is it an actual shortage of people applying for teaching positions or a shortage of highly effective teachers?
Both.
So you post an application for your school on the website. How many applications come across your desk?
I have zero.
So it's
I can pull it up right. Well, my laptop is in my car, but yeah. So like I said, I've had this special education position posted since May. I haven't had nobody apply for it.
Wow.
I have a special ed TA position I posted maybe a week and a half ago. I have no applicants.
Sped certified, just so you know. Like second.
You already have.
He
Yeah,
was a
I was
teacher.
teacher coaching specialist
before he
for 8
became a-
years before I
Yeah.
came over here.
Andrew, don't leave us. Andrew, don't leave
I was about to look.
us.
Oh man, I was about to scoop you up real quick.
Listen.
So, you know, I work very closely with our principal, and I've seen the stacks of applications and resumes that come across the desk. For these guys who are coming in fresh out of college or fresh out of their alternative certification program, no teaching experience, what can they do to get that application looked at? I know it's more about who you know than what you know, but how can they get to the top of that pile to at least get?
I wish you would have asked that question when we had a full house.
I tried. I'm
Oh
trying to get in.
man. Oh,
All this
man.
is being
Oh,
captured right now.
Okay. Oh man. So there are so many things you could do. Number one. All right. Number one, take your address off your resume. And I know that's like the silliest thing, right? Like, why is it?
People do not tell us to do that.
Why is why are you telling me to take my address off my resume? Glad you asked, because you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna Google your address and I'm gonna see what your drive time is gonna be like from your house to my school. And if it's
Wow.
over 30 minutes, or you say you live all the way in the northwest side of Houston in Jersey Village, and my school is all the way on Southeast Houston, you're gonna be late every day
Wow.
because you have the cost of traffic.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Googling your drive time because I want to see what traffic you're gonna potentially be in. Because when you late, that throws everybody else off. Because now I'm gonna have to find somebody to cover your class until you get there, and that's lost instructional time for students.
Mhm.
Take it off. I don't need to know where you live. Don't tell me where you live. Let me just guess where you live. Number two, in your interview, please do not tell whomever it is that you are interviewing with that the reason why you want to be at that school is because it's close to where you live, or it's close to where your children go to school, and it'll be easier for you to pick your children up from daycare or from school because this is where the school is located. Don't do it. Just don't say it. Don't say it. We don't need to know that you live around the corner. Don't say it. Because then I'm gonna be looking at you, well, why are you not here at 7 o'clock? You straggling here at 7:25, 7:30, you live 5 minutes from the house, from the school. Why are you not here earlier? No, and then it's not, you want to be at my school because you feel like it's a good fit. You're there for convenience. And when you're there for convenience, you're not giving my campus 100% because you have an ulterior motive. What else? Don't go in there and tell them that you're only interested in teaching English or you're only interested in teaching math. You know, you need to go in there and just say, hey, you know what? I'm a team player. You know, I'm willing to be flexible. You know, yes, my preference may be upper grade, but I'm excited to join education, and I want to be a lifelong educator, and so I want to know everything, every grade level. So wherever you put me in, I'll be fine, because that's the mindset that you have to have. Another thing I would say, man, it's just so many little nuggets. Please, please do your research on the school. Do your research on the school. Do your research on the school. Go to the school website. Look at their information. What is their mission and vision statement? What programs do they offer at the campus? Do they have anything that's extracurricular that you may be interested in teaching? You should mention all of that stuff in your interview. Pull up, if you're doing a STAR testing grade, pull up their STAR testing data for the past 2 or 3 years. It's available on TEA website. Be able to talk about their data. Well, you know, I'm interviewing for this 4th grade math position. I looked at, you know, the STAR scores for 2018, 19, and 19, 20. I see that your students were at 75% approaches, 20% meets, and 5% masters. Well, I think that we can be able to increase the meets and masters by 5% by next year by doing X, Y, and Z. And that's also going to increase the approaches because you want to be, you want to excel and be the best in everything that you do. And you want to have the highest scores on campus. I prided myself on having 100% on STAR every year. That's just what I prided myself on. And that should be yours too. So you got to go in there and you got to talk the game, especially if we're talking about STAR. You have to be able to talk about STAR. You need to know about STAR. The STAR release tests are on the website. You can print them. You know what you applied for. So you need to be able to go in there and talk about that grade and STAR or strategies or something. Just don't go in there and be talking about you just happy to be here and you know you have a certification, so hire me. Do your research. Be able to talk about, oh, you know what, I saw that your school is 70% African American, 26% Hispanic, and less than 3% other. That should be something that you should know, the demographics of the school that you are applying for. That's small stuff. That's small stuff. And guarantee you it's on their website. If it's not on their website, there's a website. It's called it's www.txschools.org. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, txschools.org. You literally can pull up any school in the state of Texas, and it has all of the information, all of their TA day, all of their demographics, how many special ed students they have. If you're, going to be special, well, I'm applying for the special education position. I see that 10% of your population is special education. They're in special education. What kind of special education programs do they offer? Oh, well, it used to be called PALS. That's for like the pre-K babies. It's called ECSE now. It's a new word. I don't know. And then they have that. They have PALS, and we have SLO, which is Skills for Lifelong Learning. Be able to know what that school offers, especially if it pertains to you and something that you're interested in doing. Oh, I see that you guys have cheerleading. I was a cheerleader in high school and in college. I would love to be, to assist with cheerleading after school. Well, okay, because I like for my school, I like to do everything. Oh, okay. You already talking about you want to stay after school and help students. Tell them that you want to do tutorials after school, before school, after school, on the weekends. Because that shows me you're willing to go above and beyond for your students for academic success. Now, you can have your ulterior motives. You want to buy a house, you want a new car, you saving up for a trip to go to Dubai, whatever. That's my next trip. My next trip is whatever that may be is, keep it to yourself.
Yes.
But just be like, I'm eager to make this money. But don't say it that way. It's like, I'm willing to do, tutorials, Saturday tutorials, before school, after school, whatever you need me for, I'm willing to do it.
Mhm.
That's the mentality that you have to go in there with. Trying to think if there's anything else.
Anything that we right now as students could do at schools, like volunteer wise, is there anything like that we can do?
There is money to be made everywhere, in every school district right now.
So
Money.
you're saying-
Oh, no. Paid. Paid. So all school districts received ESSER funds. And so, well, I can't speak for other school districts. I can only speak for HISD. So HISD got a couple million in the ESSER funds. And so then what they did was they broke that money down and they trickled it down to campuses. So campuses have money, ESSER money, to get people to come in to do tutorials, especially for, there's this House bill called HB 4545. And that's where the students have to get the 30 additional hours if they fail the STAR test. So people are looking for tutors to come in and tutor these kids. I'm looking for academic tutors. Make sure you email me your resume. I'll work around your schedule. I'll work around your schedule. Bilingual, trilingual, whatever it is. Whatever it is.
Oh no, did you say your email earlier?
Yes.
TES1.
Yes. So I'm telling you now, start emailing schools, principals, and saying, are you looking for a tutor? I'm available to help out with HB 4545 or tutorials or whatever you have. I guarantee you before the day is up. I guarantee you before the day is up, you will have a job.
Is this being recorded?
I'm telling you,
So
I'm telling you, you will have a job because, so normally we go through vendors and stuff, but Number one, vendors are expensive.
Yeah.
Number two, just the quality of people that they're hiring is not there. So we're trying to tap in to these educational settings, these programs of people who are looking for jobs. Like you want to, get hands-on experience. Come on, we got you. There's money out there. And you're setting yourself up because you go in there and you do a good job. Once you pass your certification test, they'll hire you. And even if you don't pass your certification test, once again, I'm only speaking for HISD. I've only ever worked for HISD. They can move you into other positions. Like we have what's called a degreed hourly lecturer. So you have to have completed your degree. They make $52,000 a year, $52,400 something dollars. And HISD starting salaries is only 56. So you're basically making what a teacher makes. I mean, mine is what, probably $40 in a paycheck. So opportunities are out there. Research school district you want to be in, research what type of school you want to be at, and start sending your resumes. I guarantee you, even if people don't have positions, I bet you they'll find a position for you. You're welcome.
I have a question. I've been holding this question for a while. So what makes, because we're new, we're about to be fresh out of college, like what makes us like new teachers more marketable? Like what are y'all specifically looking for? Especially with like year one teachers.
Flexibility. It's more attractive to hire a brand new teacher and teach you the way I want you to teach versus trying to teach an old dog, because they're going to fight you every step of the way. But when you don't know, you come in with a clean palette and I can teach you the way that I want you to be teaching our students. So that's what you guys have really to look forward to. Just be receptive to anything and everything.
You're hiring for STAR tested subjects. The first year teacher, that put you at a disadvantage? Would you rather have a more seasoned person in that position?
Matter of preference. So I prefer to have seasoned teachers in STAR grades. This past year, I hired two people who were new to teaching, and they're working out. It's just a matter of, it can be overwhelming from a principal trying to get so many new teachers up and running. Like my first year, I had 17 brand new teachers, and I was a new principal trying to feel my way through things. My admin team was new because I brought them with me, and I'm trying to teach new teachers how to teach while trying to learn to be a principal. It was very overwhelming. Yeah.
Wow.
But I still say that new teachers are going to always have the upper hand because you're a clean slate. You're a clean slate.
You can go into that interview knowing that that is a STAR tested subject and be ready to answer questions.
And be able to talk the talk. You need to know if it's 3rd through 5th grade, well, 3rd through 12th grade. Well, no, I don't, STAR's not in 12th. I think it's 3rd through 10th grade. Reading, math, science in 5th grade, social studies in 7th grade. Yeah, you just need to know if the grade that you're trying to teach is a STAR tested grade, and you need to learn everything it is to know about STAR and that test. And that's what you go in and you talk to in your interview. That's what you talk about.
So as a soon to be new teacher, when you go in and it's like
you didn't necessarily want a star testing grade and, you know, you guys prefer seasoned teachers, but like when you do put a new teacher in a star testing grade, what is it that we end up like needing to learn and that we should know beforehand?
Everything. So nothing that your program is giving you now is truly going to prepare you for being a teacher. I'm gonna just
Okay.
be
So then what do we need to do?
I'm gonna be completely honest.
Everything.
How? Tell me how.
But it's
100% right.
just one of those things. It's baptismal by fire.
Okay.
It's baptismal by fire
Good
because
to know now than to actually like, you know, be
Yeah.
halfway there and just.
You can
Yeah.
prep classroom management and this stuff all day long, but
Mhm.
until you're actually in that environment and can put things in place for yourself, you learn, right? You
Mhm.
fail and you learn from your mistakes and you figure out what works for you.
I had the cutest boards my first year in my classroom. Like I had like the best bulletin boards in my classroom with all of these positive themes and this racetrack, everybody's name on it. And I had my little goodie chest that, you know, I would give out my prizes and my rewards. I had this awesome little classroom management system of how I wanted the students to talk and rate. I threw all that mess out after like the first week. Threw it out because that wasn't gonna work with my kids. I had to figure out what worked for them.
Some days you're gonna have to spend so much time on this lesson plan and you have everything planned perfectly and within the first 5 minutes of class, you're gonna realize this isn't working.
And you have to adapt at the drop of a dime. You asking these questions and you see that your students don't know, don't keep going on with the lesson because they overwhelmed and they looking frustrated and you frustrated because they frustrated and not following along and understanding and everybody frustrated. You have to be able to stop and be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. And you have to think on the quick. But I will reiterate, it's baptismal by fire. And every year is gonna be baptismal by fire because every class that you get is going to be different. And the same thing usually don't work twice, at least not twice in a row. Because kids are different. But some things that you can start doing now. The first thing is you need to work on a look. A look.
Classroom.
A look that you give your students, you know, when your mama.
Oh, you was like,
Don't look.
I was like, a
Don't
brand.
Don't look. That look that your mama used to give you. You gotta have a look, but it has to be a silent look. You can't talk while you look. It just has to be a look. So that when you do it to your kids know, oh, he ain't playing. Let me get to work. That's the first thing off the bat. Number two, you need to work on. I know you can be like, what? You need to work on being stressed all the time.
I already got that down.
How you are going to handle stress. Because your first 3 years, you're going to be stressed every single day. And you need to just come to grips with that. You're gonna be stressed. But you need to learn how you're going to deal with that stress and what's some things that you can do. Number one, it took me about 3 years to understand this. Don't take graded paper. Don't take work home that you have to grade. Because let me tell you, I probably still have work at my house from kids that I never graded.
So that's where our homework goes.
That's when the dog didn't eat it. It's sitting on the kitchen table.
I knew it.
Yes, do not take that stuff home because you're kidding yourself. Because when you get home, you're gonna be tired.
Yeah.
You're gonna be ready to lay down. If you have a family, you're gonna have to cook, do whatever. And those papers that you're gonna grade is gonna sit on your desk or on your nightstand or stay in your bag, don't kid yourself. Just go ahead and stay at school and keep it graded. Just do that. The next thing, you need to work on being organized. I am a person who operates in organized chaos.
Yeah.
It's doable. It's doable. It's doable. It's hard. Like, it's hard work. It's hard work. It's hard work. But if you operate in organized chaos, it is doable. It's just going to be a little bit hard. But you have to learn to be organized. You have to say, okay, I know my lesson plans are due by Friday. If you wait till Thursday to do your lesson plans, no, it's not gonna work out for you. You literally have to plan every single day. Every single day. And like, what's your name?
Andrew.
Andrew, like Andrew said, if you knew what you did that day was trash, you may need to stop and say, I need to redo all of this.
Yeah.
Because this ain't working for my kids. Don't keep doing something that you know is not effective, because that makes you ineffective and it makes your kids unsuccessful. And who's hurting at the end? It's the kids. It's the kids. So you have to learn how to be organized. All of the cute stuff, you know, the borders and don't focus your time on that.
That's gonna be hard for you, Brittany.
Brittany is a decorator.
So hard for her.
She was getting so
Decorated.
excited decorating this. She's like, can't wait to do this for the
Because I know I'm
classroom.
not gonna be able to do it in my classroom. I've had my first year of teaching already. I know I can't do all that cute stuff.
Yeah, you know, it's cute in theory. It's cute in theory, but no. Like having a bright classroom, yes. You know, the bright colors, they stimulate the mind, and, you know, print-rich environment, all of that is true. But like this apple tree in the back.
That ain't gonna work.
How the students gonna learn from this apple tree? That's because what they gonna learn from the apple tree? Because what I see all that space, I'm like, you know what? I could put an alphabet line, I could put the number line, you know, I could throw some pictures on there to help with my ELL students. I see all kinds of stuff. The apple tree it's beautiful. Did you do it? Oh, the apple tree is beautiful.
Adrielle.
Art teacher.
Beautiful. Did you do the flower on the door too?
Yep.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Did you see the game?
I did. That's what I was looking at when I sat down. I was like, I'm like, this is serious. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You got a foot, go ahead with the foot,
if you're not teaching art,
it's a waste of time.
No, that's so.
the flower is cool because it's on the door. Like, you know, okay, it's on the door. Yeah, you know, first couple of weeks of school, you know, bright sunshiny day, come in.
That is my focus. I understand that I do need to be generalist certified to be much more marketable. However, for my line of work, I do plan on going into art. I would like to teach art and PE.
Wow.
You want to teach art and PE at the same time?
Sure, why not? So what I would like to do for what I would like to
Tell me more.
Right, so for a PE,
all
what
finna
I
have
would like to do is I
jobs.
would like to bring yoga into the classroom. I like to bring yoga into school campuses. Studies have showed that it's a great way to release stress, and at the same time, it's also great for athletes, for them to be able to stretch things out, to be able to warm them up and give them the mobility that's necessary for them to up-level their performance. And it's not
high school.
I can vouch for him. I take his class.
It's not-
I take his class twice a week. He's good.
And it's not just specifically for athletes. I mean, it's also been shown to reduce stress and anxiety as well. particularly for people that suffer from autism and anybody that is special needs. So by bringing that into the classroom, just with working with reading techniques in itself will allow for students to increase their performance inside the classroom as well as after. Same thing goes with arts. Visual arts, people, they don't have necessarily an outlet to express themselves in a way that may be socially acceptable, either for whatever personal reasons they may have or any other environmental issues that they may experience. So in my classroom, what I want them to do is to be able to express themselves without any judgment whatsoever. They can create art because art, although it has rules, it is a no rule zone. You're there to break rules and to pave ways for other people that did not think was possible.
And so the next thing that you need to work on, that you could be working on now, is your elevator pitch, as he just provided to me. And kudos to you, because I think the work that you're trying to do is phenomenal. I have seen research, and I do know schools that do on elementary levels who have implemented yoga not necessarily in PE, but as in a safe room for students who have for social emotional support.
Right.
So
Now, my question, I'm going to hit Dr. Estes.
speaking into existence, I love to hear it's received.
For your campus, is he a candidate?
No.
Oh, okay.
You asked me an honest question. That's all.
That's what I'm looking for, because your special education need, he doesn't feel it. That's what I'm saying. He doesn't fit your need, but he may feel somebody else's need, and you may have heard while you're discussing with some of your other principal cohorts.
My kids will hit him with the yoga mat. I said my kids will hit him with the yoga mat.
So you don't need a yoga mat.
I'm kidding. But no, they reach with the yoga mat.
May know of. I mean, I came from HISD, that's what I'm saying. The art, we might could deal with the yoga. Hey, we didn't even know what yoga was back then.
Art certainly.
Right.
The yoga part, no.
Right.
But I know campuses who would be interested in that type of stuff.
Right.
For sure.
Well,
Along that line, you guys have like a district scope and sequence?
Yes.
So that's one thing.
What was that?
you can check out, scope and sequence for different districts,
What is
because it literally lays out, these are the TEKs, this is the unit, this is the amount of time you should be spending on that unit. So if you're coming in wanting to implement yoga, and that's not in the scope and sequence for that district, it might not be.
Yes.
Not like something to do with a club or something like that, but not. These are things you have to hit.
I'm having the best time.
Checking those are available.
Thank you. What's going on? Sorry, like,
It's
I'm
all-
serving hot dogs.
Service.
They're gone.
Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Kemonte Jackson.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Jackson.
Actually, we have a follow-up question.
Okay.
So what is your philosophy of education?
Ooh,
That's a very good question.
we got so many other questions.
There's
That's
actually
My
very clear ones.
My philosophy of education. So my philosophy of education is kind of tied to the mission and vision statement at my school that we created together. And that is all students, regardless of demographics, background, special needs, any accommodations, any of that. All students deserve the right to A, have a highly effective teacher in their classroom. B, deserves highly effective first instruction in an environment that is both safe for them, creative for them, where they can collaborate with each other, and just be in a place where they want to go back to whenever they are adults.
Wow.
I want them to be able to say, I had such a great experience in my elementary school. I want my children to come to school here. I had such a great experience at my elementary school. Like I said, I don't have kids, but my little brothers and sisters all went to the same elementary school that I went to.
Wow.
What school was it?
L.E. Monahan Elementary in Sheldon ISD.
So I have another question, because I've dealt with this before, but it was on the preschool level, and I was teaching preschool. For those kids, and this is like a very specific bunch of kids, like those kids who are just really, really struggling. And you know, right off the bat, that it's gonna take them a couple of years to like really get it together. What do you do in those instances?
Get in the trenches. That's all you can do. You have to be able to meet students where they are.
Can I speak on that too?
Yes.
So, and you may know a little bit about it, but Common Vista is literally centered around that idea. The idea of taking a population of people that struggle most in schools, such as young adults, putting men of color in those classrooms or in positions, leadership type positions, and not be afraid to teach a character instead of teaching a curriculum. And sometimes when you teach the character first, you have the best ability to teach a fish how to climb a tree. If you get one coming, if we judge the ability of a fish's, if we judge a fish's ability to climb a tree, we'll always fail as teachers. So the goal is to reach out to them, not just from an academic component, but more so from a relational component as well.
Absolutely.
And it takes much more than just being able to say 2 + 2 5 times in a row. You know what I mean? You have to be able to meet that student halfway and understand why they didn't.
I'm sorry, we didn't went way over time.
That's not a problem. Yeah, just taking
So I guess let me specify my question. It's more so like behavior wise, especially like when you're that teacher that doesn't want to send them to the principal's office with your kid and throw in the chair. Like, how do you get other people on board when you're trying to deal with that student?
Other people like who?
Like your administrators and stuff like that. Because, you know, some people will come into your class and just take your kid and you'll be like, because you know, but they don't necessarily know, since they don't have a relationship with that child.
I never sent students to the office. And I handled everything in my room. So if you don't want them to get lost in the translation and have those write-ups on their record, then it goes back to building the relationship and finding out, why did little Johnny throw that chair? He threw it because something triggered him. What was the trigger?
Right.
And so then once you start going down that hole of really knowing your kids and understanding their triggers, then you know how to keep them out of those situations where they are triggered, or make sure that they know where their safe space is, or go step outside. Or we had this folder system. It was a little, I think mine was yellow. Every grade level was different. Mine was yellow. Hey, little Johnny, go take this to Miss Smith on the second floor. He would go. Teacher would get the envelope. They know, they see the yellow envelope. They know what it is. They would just stick a little piece of paper in there and they'd be like, oh, okay, go send this to Mr. Edwards. Yeah, he wasting time, but he's calming down. And he thinks that he's doing something good because now he has this super secret folder that has nothing but empty pieces of paper in it. But now he's doing something for me because he likes me. And he's going to Miss Smith because he likes Miss Smith. And he's going to Mr. Edwards because he likes Mr. Edwards. So he's touching all of his support system. His safety net. He didn't touch all of his safety net in a matter of 5 minutes. And then Mr. Edwards is going to talk to him, hey, what's going on in class? Man, you know you're not supposed to do that. So what are some things that you're supposed to do when you get angry? All right, go take the folder back to Mr. Estes. Something simple. 5 minutes. You done de-escalated the situation. Kid come in. Okay, now apologize. I done handle it in my classroom.
Second, you have to send a student out or call somebody else in, you kind of lost all power.
Mhm.
He's gonna be scared of
Everybody else.
Principal Estes. And he's gonna do what he asks, but the second he leaves.
It's gonna go right,
He's
gonna go
not
right
gonna
back.
fear you anymore.
Mhm. And there's no such thing as problem kids. There's no such thing. They just haven't found somebody to open up to. So if it's not going to be you, then who? You got to find somebody. It's somebody that kid likes on that campus. You just have to just sit back and observe. And I love the people watch. So that's kind of one of the things that helped me as a teacher. I sit back and I just watch. And the thing about it is, okay, when I was in 5th grade, I've been watching you since you was in 3rd grade. So I already know all about you. I know what you like to do. I know what you don't like to do. I know who you like to be around. I know who you not like to be around. So I got the game up on you from the start. First day of school. Who's your favorite teacher? Who's your favorite person on this campus? Oh, Miss Ashley, she was my pre-K teacher. Guess who I'm gonna send you to? When I have my little system, boom, you go on to Miss Ashley with the folder. Because that was your favorite teacher. You gonna do for her. She your favorite. You got to figure out every possible way. Every possible way. And you are in this, this is the other big thing. It goes back to knowing your kids. And if I call your mom and daddy because you at the school cutting up, you're going to get a beat down when you get home. Why am I going to call your mom and daddy? Why? Why would I do that? But we do this. We do this. And this also goes into something we did talk about earlier, cultural competence. Like you really have to know that child and their culture. 9 times out of 10, if you Black, you didn't got beat.
If you're Hispanic, you get.
Chanclas, right? That's what it's called.
My grandma threw a cordless phone at me.
So you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So if I know this, and some of this is observed because when you stop, mom come to pick him up and say, oh, you know what, Derrick had a bad day today. What? I ain't seen you to school for. So you already see that what's going on. So why am I gonna call you and tell you that you threw a chair across the room, it didn't hurt nobody, you dealt with the situation, but you wanted to call mom and let mom know, and so now the child is gonna go home after you had de-escalated the situation and calmed him down. He's gonna go home and get a whooping. That's gonna throw the rest of his night off. He probably not gonna do his homework because he's upset. He probably already behind anyway as a tier 3 kid, a tier 3 student. So now he's not doing no work. Now he angry. Then he's gonna come back to school tomorrow, and now he's gonna be pissed off at you because he's gonna feel like you violated their trust by calling their mom and dad. Now, I tell him, like, it's some things, hey, look, I'm gonna have to call you people. I'm gonna have to call them. But if it's something that's small, don't call them people's mom and daddy. Just don't do it. Handle it in your classroom and move around. That's gonna build trust with you. But yeah, you got to get to, as my grandma said, you got to get to the root. The root. The root. Gotta get to the root. Yeah.
Okay.
He mad, they angry. Why are they angry? Everybody has a trigger. These little kids, they got all kinds of triggers. They have all kinds of triggers. And you know what? Some of they triggers ain't even really triggers. Because they see what they mama and daddy, how they react to certain things, like stepping on shoes as a sign of disrespect. That ain't even an issue. Yes, ma'am.
Will you tutor teachers?
Right?
I coach and develop teachers, like the teachers on my campus, but like outside of that, no, but you've given me an idea.
The reason I asked is because, when you were giving those points out, you brought up the one about no doing grading at home. And, learning to work, being organized, and learning how to work in disorganized chaos and things like that. And my to-be daughter-in-law is bringing home, I mean, we had a table full of homework helpers one night.
Been there, done that.
5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, okay, so apparently, it's not working for her. So I'm like, do you teach your teachers how to do this system that you have? Because I'm gonna sign her up for your class. That's why I was wondering.
So I don't, but thank you for the idea. I will definitely be looking into that. But you have my email address. Have her to email me. I have no problems with helping her out. We're all in the business, or we should be in the business of service and helping. I've been saying that all day, and I'm not ever gonna charge her if she could.
I do. And her mother really will love.
So I told you at the beginning I like to eat. So, but that's not even, don't feel obligated. I'm just saying I do like to eat. But no, I have no problems with helping her out. But no, it just off the top, number one, it sounds like she's giving out too much homework. Cause what grade is she? Well, what's
7th grade AP.
like what content? Like math, reading, science?
Math.
Oh, she's giving out too much. She's giving out too many problems. That's what that is. Yeah, it's too much homework because, and that's, oh man, we didn't talk about that. We killing our kids with all this homework. There's no reason why I should have 3 pages of math.
Still don't know that.
And still can't regroup or multiply, divide, but you're giving me 3 pages. There's not a single TEAC that's going to be on the STAR test that's tested 20 times. The most is 5. So if I give you a TEAC in math, it should be no more than 5 questions. 7 if you just. But having 3 pages of math work to do, that's called busy work. So we have to be more intentional about the homework that we're giving to our kids. Especially, once again, all y'all trying to go to a Title I school so that y'all can get y'all's tuition and stuff, paid for, paid off. So you already know if it's Title I, you get what you get. Just keep that in mind. You're gonna have kids who don't have running water, don't have lights. It's 20 people living in a 2-bedroom. That's life. They're not gonna do their homework. Because you know why? Because the oldest is too busy helping all of the other kids with their homework. But you didn't sit here and gave this baby 3 pages of math homework, and Miss Brittany over here didn't assign 2 paragraphs, 2 STAR passages for reading, and then the social studies teacher didn't assign the homework. That's unreasonable. It's unreasonable. And you wonder why these kids aren't doing their homework, or they come to school and they tired, because you have some parents that's gonna make them stay up all night
To get it done.
to make sure it's done, because you're not gonna fail. And so now you come into school and you sleepy because you just stayed up doing all of this fluff homework that's sitting on your kitchen table next to your coffee from 2 days ago that you ain't graded.
So since COVID happened, did they improvise with the curriculums because of that situation? Let's send a load on the student.
They just weren't logging on.
No,
Just
I
like-
know, I was volunteering at for a group that had a high school and none of them was on school. They were like failing.
Lessen the load. What that
So
is?
then what-
What that mean?
Okay, so as a social worker, I'm like, how are you expecting, that's why you're going to fail, that's why the economy is gonna drop, because you guys are not helping. You're not helping the children with their education. So how the parents can't do it.
Because you giving out too much homework.
So,
And you giving out homework to students on stuff that they don't know how to do. Instead of meeting the kids where they are. Because if you can't subtract, you can't add. If you can't add, you can't multiply. So why am I giving you this multiplication timesheet for you to do?
so that has to be something that comes down from the school district. The school district has to tell you guys what to do.
So we have a scoping sequence and a pacing calendar that you follow. And it tells you what you're supposed to be on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We don't use the scoping sequence.
Because that's not gonna work out.
Because it's unreasonable.
We know that.
It's unreasonable. No, we don't do that on my campus. Mm-mm. And I get my hand slapped a lot, but I don't care.
You have to be an advocate for the children. Like you said.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you put me in charge of a campus, I'm going to, those are my babies. I'm an advocate for my kids.
All right, so I have another question. As a newer teacher who like wants to teach in Title I, but not for the rest, like you actually want to be in Title I because you know what Title I was like. You're like, I want to go there. What are just like some tricks of the trade to know, like going in as a fresh teacher, like
To a Title I school?
because it's like you're going because you want to be there, but everybody else kind of talks about Title I, like, are you sure? And they don't really tell you anything.
So let me tell you what not to go in there with the mentality of. Well, we way off the path. So I'm just
We
saying.
here, this is a two-part series now.
Look, okay.
This is a two-part series, so we can chop it off at 2:30. You just let us know what else.
Don't go into the situation with the idea that you are going to save children, that you are going to save little minority children, because little minority children don't need to be saved. They need highly effective teachers who care. That's what they need. Leave the saving to Superman and Batman and them. So don't go in there with that mindset. And I see that a lot. Off the bat, they're gonna say, I want to serve the Black and brown community. Next, I'm throwing your resume in the trash. And I have a little system. It's funny. It's a hand. I don't know where it came from, but it's a hand. And it holds paper clips. So when we're interviewing in my office, if I'm ready to cut the interview short, I move the hand from one side to the other. And so then my admin team know, okay, well, do you have any questions for us? Because that's the last question on our interview.
Right.
So I might ask you, my first question, I always ask the first question is, tell me what you know about James H. Law Elementary. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just look forward, I want to serve the Black and brown community. What questions do you have for us? Oh, okay, well, we'll get back with you and let you know our decision.
513.
My kids don't need to be saved. They need highly effective teachers. They need teachers who are going to show them compassion and empathy. They need teachers who are going to show up every day and go above and beyond for them. That's what they need. They don't need to be saved. Because those kids is running around with sneakers better than mine and I have a full-time job.
Next time I interview, someone moves something on the desk.
Right.
Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. It's a cue. Yeah.
It may be a pin.
Absolutely, absolutely. But just don't go in there with that mindset, and just also just go in there with the mindset that and this is Title I or not, you have to go above and beyond. Now, you ain't got to go above and beyond like what some people do. I was paying water bills, buying groceries, picking kids up from the bus stop to bring them to school because they was coming to school late. But if you want the desired outcome, you have to go that extra mile. And guess what? Most of my kids, I still keep in contact with. I had, short story, I had a kid, his name is David. He graduated this past May from high school. I taught him in 3rd grade and in 5th, no, I didn't teach him in 3rd grade, that's a lot. I taught him in 5th grade. 5th grade, he had been retained twice and had never passed a STAR test day in his life, but they kept promoting him. I don't know why. So said, so, you know, I told him, I was like, you know what? We're going to get you over this hump. You're going to pass the STAR test. I promised him if he passed the STAR test, I would buy him some Jordans. Guess what happened? He passed the STAR test. And he was like, where are my Jordans at? I was like, man, I got you. And I bought him some Jordans. And I've always kept in contact with him. He called me in beginning of May and was like, Mr. Estes, I'm gonna come out of school. I'm like, all right, cool, because he comes by all the time. He was like, we only got 3 tickets for graduation for COVID.
Wow.
His brothers and sisters didn't even get a ticket to graduation. It was me, his mom, and his dad.
Wow.
That's the type of impact you should be leaving in kids' lives.
Yeah.
He's at Sam Houston State University right now.
Wow.
I helped him go move his stuff in.
All right.
I was just at Sam Houston, what, 2 weekends? 2 weekends ago? Does he go to Sam?
Yes, Lord.
Do I need to put eyes on him? Because I go to Sam all the time. We're gonna talk. I'm up there a lot. So their homecoming was 2 weeks ago, two weekends ago. I'm the chapter advisor for the Alphas at Sam. So they had a party. Went to their party. Oh, we threw the party with the Sigmas. They just lost one of their brothers in their chapter earlier this week.
Yeah, he told me he had one on life support.
Wow.
Yeah, they
On his neos.
yeah, he passed away. Today's Thursday, on Tuesday. Yeah. But what I do, I make sure I got down there early. Hey, let's go grab dinner. I don't know what your refrigerator looking like. I'm gonna feed you what you need. All right, here's $50.
The sweetest sound.
That's what you.
The sweetest sounds to a student. Let me feed you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You never forget, he'll never forget you.
But that's the type of impact you should be leaving with your students. 10 years from now, your kids should be inviting you to graduation. And you should be there. I've gone to football games, baseball games, funerals, weddings, 15s, you name it. If you invite me, if I have the time to go, I'm gonna go.
And with David, Derrick, whatever his name, when he's born.
They don't, like, that means so much to them, especially the little kids getting up on Saturday and going and watch them play football. And they don't They don't play. They sit on the bench all day. But just know that you out there screaming, hollering their name. You know what I'm saying? It means the world to them. Yeah, it took 2 hours out of your day on a Saturday. What impact are you leaving on that child? That was a positive impact. And then he gonna go, when he get to school on Monday, Mr. Estes came to my football game. Now everybody else gonna, you gonna put yourself in a situation. Everybody else gonna want you to go to their stuff. But hey, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do to support the kids. That's that bonding. That's that rapport. And then you got them. You got them.
And they'll do anything.
They
in
will.
the classroom.
They will do anything. David was bad.
You put the B in bad.
Well, he wasn't bad with me because he knew better. He commanded a lot more respect from me. Now he can cut up and try anybody else, and all thing they had to say is, I'm gonna call Mr. Estes. And that was that, because he respected me.
Principal Derrick Estes, y'all. What time is it? 3:45.
4 hours.
3:45. 3:45.
Is this like a record for like the longest one?
This is normal for our in-person ones. We've had our speakers just stay and connect and network.
Okay.
But this is the first time we've kept the Zoom live, and we still have, out of the 20 people that have been with us, we have 4 students still on live. So y'all the realists, y'all the MVPs. This is going to be a 2-part CLC, and we just thank you so much for making yourself available.
I have thoroughly enjoyed myself. You guys have asked some great questions. Thank you for connecting with me.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I want to make sure, like I said, I'll give y'all my telephone number. Y'all have my email address. Any questions that you have, you know, if I don't have an answer for you, I'm gonna help you find an answer. And if you're looking for employment,
You see, he giving the look. He's been giving the look the whole time.
now I ain't trying to pull you away from you where you Steve, but
Not yet, Andrew.
look, you had me at SPED certification. Okay. And thank you to the online people. Y'all, you've been great. Oh, Ms. Clark, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Principal Estes, thank you so much. I'm not sure if you know who Jacob Lip is.
No.
And Dr. Alonzo.
I know Dr. Alonzo.
Dr. Alonzo gave me your name. So thank you so much.
Really?
Dr. Alonzo. Yes. She gave me your name to reach out to you a few months ago when I first connected with you. So I'm gonna have to let her know.
So I ain't gonna put her business out there, but yeah.
Well, when she turns it off, you got you now.
Oh, she online?
No, she's not.
Oh, okay.
She's not.
I mean, it's nothing bad. So I think what she is GAO? She's in a sorority. And she crossed around the same time I crossed, either before me or after me.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all kind of like grew up in Greek life at UHD together. And we started the Multicultural Greek Council together. So that's how I know her. Like she literally knows my story from like 2001. So
wow.
Yeah.
Well, if you get the chance to stop by her office, she's on the 9th floor now doing big things. Please let her know that you were able to come back to your old stomping grounds. As always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. It's been an honor to connect with you. I have questions about the PhD program, which we'll chat offline.
Okay.
But we would love to have you back sometime. Thank you for your time again. I hope that you're able to make a connection with Mr. Jackson in the back.
Absolutely.
So we can get more educators, men educators.
You work with Dr. Wallace? Dr. Wallace was one of my professors at USD. So when you said call me Mr., I was like, okay, yeah. I got you.
You gotta come back for real.
If you, All you gotta do is invite me.
We got food. We got it.
Because I'm gonna give you some tips, treats before I leave. But no, I'm more than willing to come back anytime to talk about anything, education, otherwise. I know as everyone is like transfer students, right?
Yes, sir.
Trust me, I have a story. Definitely, I have a story. So
I'm a UHHCC, UHD.
So I'm a Sam, San Jack North, U of H, UHD, Clark Atlanta, UHD transfer.
St. Thomas, UHD, and well, no, St. Thomas, HCC.
Yeah.
I'm a St. Thomas, Lone Star, UHD, ACC, UHD.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I was here from fall of 2001 to fall of 2008, so 7 years. Yeah, I was here for 7 years.
And this program wasn't here when you were here.
No. Mm-mm. So I know what it means to be a full-time working student. Like I had a career, it wasn't even a job. I was, I would leave work at 5 o'clock, be here at UHD for 5:30 classes, Monday through Friday. I've been suspended academically from UHD because it was just too much. Fought back to trust me, I have a story. And I'll tell y'all what, if y'all not utilizing the resources at UHD, y'all are crazy. Bye, you guys.
Bye, y'all. Check us out next week for our business admin and management CLC on Tuesday from 1:30 to 3. We will be diving into a conversation about exploring a career in human resources. The event is on campus groups. We hope to see y'all soon. Be safe, take good care, and be well.